No!
Oh.
Where is Padme?
Where did that come from?
Wow.
Oh, from the
Vader,
no,
man.
of course. No, what am I thinking?
He didn't recognize it because it wasn't before the no. That's
Right.
Yes, that's right.
That was not consistent with canon, Len.
No!
You got it out of order. All right, you guys ready to do a show?
Yes.
I think I'm recording and everything, so here we go.
Support for the Daily Tech News Show is provided by Patreons like you at patreon.com/acedetect. This is FPN, the Frog Pants Network.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, July 11th, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt, and joining me today, Ashley Esqueda, host of Tomorrow Daily on CNET.com, which I got to pretend to be a host of for the past couple days. Thanks for having me on, Ashley.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on today. It's great. Nice quid pro quo right there. Hosting.
That's how it works. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. No, it was really fun. So check them out, CNET.com. Can you go to CNET.com/tomorrowdaily?
You can actually just go to tomorrowdaily.com. It'll put you right to the CNET site. Yeah.
Tomorrowdaily.com. Check them out. And, of course, Rich DeMuro will be back on Monday. So check those out as well. And Len Peralta's along with us to do the illustrations because it's Friday. How you doing, Len?
Good, good. I'm proud to announce today that I'm keeping my talents here in Cleveland.
You're returning to Cleveland from Cleveland.
I never left. I've been here
will be
for the
known
past
as
4 years.
Len Braun Peralta.
That's right. Hey, everything's forgiven. Everything's forgiven. Thanks.
All is forgiven. You're welcomed back to Cleveland, which you
I am.
never really left.
Big day
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's take a look at the headlines. GigaOM passes along that Chinese state broadcaster CCTV claims iPhones are a threat to national security because of their tracking features. iOS 7 has a frequent locations function that learns where users frequently visit in order to provide location-based information. That function can be turned off. Apple has about 6% of the smartphone market in China.
Could you not argue that by their own logic, would the Chinese government, by tracking their citizens, also not be a threat to their own national security?
But we are the most popular country that tracks people with Snowden leaks.
Gotcha.
So, yeah,
True.
No, the
Touché.
Chinese media has been on a tear with this stuff. They went after Apple for customer support for their warranty. They went after Microsoft for some stuff. They've been after Google for stuff. This is just the latest. It's part of a series, it seems.
Right, it's a little mini series.
Yeah.
For soon to be broadcast on Netflix.
It's the hottest new show on CCTV, from what I hear.
Yeah, well, you don't have many options. So it's I'm very fascinated by this because you can shut this off. This is a feature you can shut off pretty easily. I mean, seems like it would be better served by Chinese state TV to say, hey, there's this feature. If you don't like it, shut it off.
And it is easy for us to jump to the conclusion, oh, well, Chinese state TV, there's a bunch of propaganda. But is it really any different than many networks in the United States doing hit pieces and scare pieces? The phone is tracking you. Totally see that on the nightly news, right?
Yes.
That happens all the time. So I don't know. I don't know where this really falls, actually.
Yeah, it's really tough to sort of distinguish between, the state TV and the government sort of colluding to sort of talk down, and then also just the media sensationalism that we too experience here in America.
Right. Is it government propaganda or just headline ratings grab? Is it sweeps week for CCTV?
They're evolving right into yellow journalism like Americans.
Awesome. Bloomberg Business Week reports Google blogged that it wants a European user to share their thoughts. Well, they want all the European users, not just one, to share their thoughts on right-to-be-forgotten laws. They're going to put together an online forum. They want to have public hearings later this year. And they've put together a panel, including Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales and former German Justice Minister Sabine Lüther-Schnarrenberger, who have also been enlisted to advise Google on how it should comply with European rules. Google admits it incorrectly removed links from search results to articles in news sites. We mentioned that last week on DTNS. Those links have since been restored. The company has received 70,000 takedown requests covering 250,000 web pages since the ruling went into effect in May.
This is, are you, I mean, what's the thing that you wish you could just forget, like on the internet? What's the thing that you want Google to just take away? I know that's true. That is true, and it's totally appropriate. I promise. The internet.
No, yeah, actually, I don't. I joke because I put up some old Access Television shows that I did in Austin in the '90s, but I don't. Even though they're embarrassing, I don't even want those to be forgotten, or I wouldn't have ever uploaded them in the first place. So, this is just a difference between Europe and the U.S., I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're very consumer rights focused there, and I almost wonder if it's a little bit of, it's almost too much. Like we're trying to protect people, but on that same note, it's almost like, okay, well, if you protect them too much, then they're really not going to have any consequences or accountability for their actions. You just scrub that right off the internet. And
frankly, I feel like if it happened, it happened.
Yeah.
But I do understand somebody saying, hey, yeah, I got busted for something when 20 years ago, and it still comes up as my top search result. That's not cool. And there ought to be a solution.
If that's happening to you, you are not doing your internet job properly. Get a better website. Figure out your SEO. No, it's
maybe
just, I get it.
That's it. Instead of right to be forgotten takedown notices, Google has to provide SEO consultation for free.
That would be, I feel like educating people as to how to navigate the internet, especially people who don't necessarily understand that things that are posted last forever. Like maybe to me, education is always the answer. So it's like, you educate teenagers, say like, don't put, dirty pictures online because they last forever. People still do it anyway. But on that same note, it's so much, to me, it's easier to, teach a man to fish, obviously. Give a man a fish. You take away his links, he doesn't learn anything.
And I think what Google's trying to show is where the line is gets really fuzzy really fast.
It does. And it's like, are you, especially with, these people who are like, oh, I did some terrible banking things and I'd like that to be scrubbed from the internet. It's like, well, there are other search engines besides Google. And I don't know about this. I just feel like there's such a much better way to go about helping people better their search results for their own, and also don't do bad things. Like just be a decent human being. Maybe just that.
It strikes me that this will work itself out in 20 years, and they'll look back on these sorts of laws as some very quaint early 21st century worries.
Yeah. It's very interesting to me that have you ever talked to a teenager or like a kid, and they're very aware. They're hyper aware of putting things out on the internet and what that means, and much more so than I was when I started using the internet, because the internet was so new. And I think you're absolutely right. Like in 20 years, people are people who are going to be our age, old, i.e. old, are going to be like, I know how to navigate the internet. I know how to make the right search results show up. I know how to I know how to present the best version of myself to the internet. Make it very difficult for people to find all the bad stuff. And the other part of that is people looking at search results and going, oh, that's really not that bad. That happens on the internet, rather than saying, oh, I'm shocked that someone ever got drunk once in their life. I have the vapors. Somebody went to a party. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous prudishness to certain things on the internet. It's just like, it's fine. Like, people do dumb things in high school. People do dumb things in college. People do dumb things after that. Like, people do dumb things all the time. They record them. They do stupid things, and now it's just easier to share them.
No more security through obscurity, people.
Yeah, just get with it.
Bloomberg Businessweek reports New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman and Superintendent of Financial Services Benjamin Losky have sought a temporary restraining order against Lyft to stop it from beginning its ride-sharing operations in New York City. Lyft asked a judge to block the state's subpoena, calling requested documents utterly irrelevant. The New York State Department of Financial Services issued a cease and desist to Lyft on July 8th. And on July 9th, the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission said Lyft had not complied with safety requirements and licensing criteria. And not one of these agencies mentioned how silly that pink mustache looks on the front of their car.
Not one, right? Like, it's just, to me, that seems like a big pull me over for breaking the law. Like, it's because it's so in your face. I mean, the Uber U is a sticker. It's a decal. You can hide that.
That's easy. It's
obfuscate that with a peachy folder or something. Right. Again, I'm aging myself. Peachy folder. What's wrong with me? But yeah,
I'm too old to get that.
I feel kind of bad for Lyft drivers because I get people who want to make some extra money. I mean, my sister has been very interested in, doing something like Uber or Lyft, and it's like, I get it. You want to make a couple extra bucks, but then, it's that balance between disruptor and lawbreaker. And it's like sometimes I think the laws should be changed because obviously things like Uber and Lyft are great. But on that same note, there are still some regulations that you want to have, like the drug testing, for example. Maybe that would be a good thing.
The insurance.
The insurance, yeah. These seem like things that make sense.
Recode reports the U.S. FCC has set aside $2 billion to help pay for Wi-Fi networks in schools over the next couple of years. The National PTA and teachers unions wanted a larger fund in order to cover more schools. There's also questions about how to cover continuing costs once the network has been implemented. The E-rate program, which is what this is called, is part of the Universal Service Fund, a government subsidy program funded by your monthly fee on U.S. phone bills. PC Mag reports the National Nuclear Safety Administration awarded Seattle-based supercomputer maker Cray a $174 million contract to develop a new machine to manage nuclear weapons. This is a current story. It is not from 1978, even though we're talking about supercomputers and Cray and nuclear weapons. It's called the Trinity supercomputer. It'll be installed at Los Alamos National Laboratory in cooperation with Sandia National Laboratories. Trinity will use Intel Haswell and Knights Landing processors, run at 1.37 petaflops, and have 82 petabytes of storage, arriving in mid-2015.
It'll also sacrifice itself to get Neo to the Machine City.
Please go on without me. Have you ever sat on a Cray? Like the old Crays had nice comfy benches because they were so huge. Yeah.
Wow, that's I have not. I have to add that to my bucket list. I feel.
Sat on a Cray.
What could possibly go wrong with that? Computers controlling nuclear weapons. I'm sure there's some Hollywood movie that's done this before, right?
Would you like to play a game?
Exactly. It's just, so
time
obvious.
for some news from you. These are posted at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. If you haven't popped by, please do. There's a couple thousand people in there, just like you, talking about the news of the day and suggesting stories for us to cover right here on the show. And Crod2, for instance, posted the TechCrunch story that a version of the Unlocking Consumer Choice and Wireless Competition Act was amended and approved by a U.S. Senate committee and sent to the Senate floor for a full vote. The U.S. House passed it in February, meaning it's getting closer to passage. It's not passed yet, though. The bill would make it legal for U.S. consumers to unlock their phones at the end of a contract without risking violating the DMCA.
Why was this even a law in the first place?
It's confusion. This is a SOP.
Fear.
Yeah, well, the Library of Congress gave an exemption for a while, and then they took the exemption back, saying, well, we don't see the need for the exemption. If you want to make it the law, you should make it the law. So that's what they're doing.
Good.
Actually, one of the few instances where the political process actually may be working in a very small slice.
These are all things that are great.
Stunning. Metal Freak called attention to the Ars Technica article from yesterday that Microsoft issued an emergency update for most versions of Windows to prevent attacks using digital certificates that impersonate sites like Google and Yahoo. The update blocks 45 SSL certificates that attackers managed to generate after compromising systems operated by the National Informatics Center of India. So if you have Windows, make sure it gets updated. Most of the Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8 systems will update automatically, but if you have Windows 7, make sure you got this one.
Yeah, that's important.
Mike P. Kennedy submitted the Engadget story about Amazon's response to a French law banning free shipping of books and taking away Amazon's right to give a 5% discount on titles. Amazon will now charge 1 euro cent for shipping in France. They did not have a clever way to get around the discount ban, so they're selling all the books at full price. But French booksellers have the advantage still. They can offer actually free shipping, not even a penny, and up to 5% discount. Very clever.
That is very.
Yeah. Captain Kipper posted the WPXI story about the U.S. Selective Service system sending draft notices to 14,000 Pennsylvania men born between 1893 and 1897. Men are probably all dead, pretty likely. But
so.
They were warned that they must register for the draft or face fines and imprisonment. The error happened because birth dates were stored with only the last 2 digits of the year, and a clerk working with the database forgot to specify the century from which they were generating the notices.
It seems like this is going to become a recurring issue now that we're moving into, like, once we hit 100 years of computers, like, officially, and data tracking. Like, we have data, written data, but once more and more things start hitting the system, I think we're going to be running into issues like this.
Some database administrator thought, well, I can save a few bits here. I'll just do a
93 to 87.
See what happens?
Did they tell you? What did they say? What?
Both Lythander and TVZ Gun posted stories about Verizon's response to Netflix's accusation that Verizon's network is congested in a long post filled with charts and arrows and justifications. Verizon rightly points out that Netflix could use other transit providers to get around congestion, but refuses to do so. Netflix has said that if Verizon would upgrade the interconnection with its preferred transit provider, then this wouldn't be a problem. Both companies are using you as a bargaining chip while trying to reduce their own costs. So I hope you feel used.
Loved by both, clearly loved by
obviously
both companies.
loved for your usability.
Yes.
Let's look at the headlines. Hey, you want a show that's weekly and looks over the geekiest stories of the week? It's called Current Geek. I host it with Scott Johnson. You can check it out on the Frog Pants Network. Today, we'll have a new show, currentgeek.com, and slip in a plug there for Tomorrow Daily again as well, tomorrowdaily.com, because the last 2 episodes were fun, and I want to thank Ashley for having me on again.
Oh, thank you. They were fun. Good times were had.
Let's talk drones, because even if Darren's not here on a Friday, there's a big drone story about Amazon asking for permission from the FAA. On June 24th, remember, we talked about this on DTNS, the FAA issued new guidelines for comment. They're saying, give us comments on these rules. There were rule interpretations stating specifically that delivering packages to people for a fee was not a hobby and therefore prohibited. Now, let me set the table for you, Ashley. Amazon asked FAA Administrator Michael Huerta to give them an exemption to their policy under Section 333 of the FAA Modernization and Reform Act of 2012. That gives the FAA the power to grant innovators, which Amazon considers itself to be, expedited operational authorization to use unmanned aircraft systems for commercial purposes. Now, here's the thing. Amazon doesn't even want to use it for a commercial purpose yet. They just want to get permission to test it. But they're not a hobbyist, and so they need to get permission from the FAA. They need to get this exemption. They promise to abide by stronger safety regulations than the hobbyists have to. They're seeking permission for private, non-commercial research and development on their own property, although they say they would also like to have permission to test at one of the 6 approved test sites that the FAA has authorized. They'll maintain line of sight, which is one of the controversial parts of the rule interpretations. And they will only use licensed pilots with the drones geofenced, so they can't drift off somewhere else. And if the pilot presses a button, they will just land immediately. Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, they say, oh, well, we're not hobbyists. I mean, their hobby is making money, so I guess technically they could argue that. We just love making money.
That'd be interesting if the FAA is like, well, your hobby is money. I think that might, money. Yeah.
Well played, Amazon.
You win.
So totally. But I think, honestly, I really feel like we're maybe fighting a losing battle against drones in general, and I think that this is just sort of a thing that is really scary. Because of privacy concerns and different types of concerns that one might have. But at the end of the day, again, that's something that I feel like in 20 or 30 years will seem very normal to people and not, this will all seem very quaint to them as well. But for right now, I think Amazon makes a compelling argument, and there's a precedent for exemption, and mysteriously, Big Oil has an exemption to use drones for commercial purposes to monitor their oil rigs up in Alaska.
Yeah, BP, I think, right? Are the ones doing that?
Yeah, I think so.
And they're actually doing it. This isn't experimental. They're actually using it.
They're in use.
Out in the field.
They are really using them. So I don't see anything wrong with. I don't see anything wrong with testing it. These are states that the 6 testing sites are all states that allow drone testing and drone aircraft. And other states they would want to test in don't allow them yet. But on that same note, I do think that we kind of, obviously this is like all precedent setting right now. So we have to kind of be careful about what we allow and what we don't allow. Otherwise, it's kind of a slippery slope. People love loopholes, especially businesses with lots of lawyers. And so, you got to make sure all of that either legislation or rules that the FAA would be, laying down would be either airtight or, relatively not susceptible to some sort of manipulation.
I would normally agree with you. The FAA is dragging their feet. The FAA always drags their feet. When they drag their feet regarding large jet planes that carry me around the country high in the air, I'm glad. Because I want to I want them to be damn sure that what they're allowing is safe, even if it's inconvenienced me for years, like the cell phone ban. But with the drones, it seems like they just can't get their own arm, like the right arm and the left arm, to know what each other is doing here. Almost that they can't get their arms talking to each other, which would be even weirder. But
it seems like lobbyists maybe are the issue here, which generally,
I'm not even sure who benefits, right? You would think Amazon would have the clear path.
Yeah.
If that were the case.
I mean, if there's anybody who has money and infrastructure to be able to test these things safely, I would imagine it would be a company like Amazon. And honestly, I really like this idea. I mean, there's so many other applications you could think of drone usage for. Like, for example, hospital, like let's say there's some major traffic jam, you have to get blood transfusion, like you can get one from one hospital with a drone. You don't have to send people. Like it's very, there are other applications I feel like could be very helpful. So for me, I mean, bring on the drones, drone zone. Like, I don't know. I'm okay with it. I know I have a lot of friends who are very skeptical, but I think they're kind of cool. And honestly, I would like an HDMI cable delivered by drone to my house because I think that would be hilarious.
And that's one of the other cool things about this filing, aside from the issues of approval and testing. They had to delineate some of the stuff they're doing. They're in their 9th generation. They say they're currently testing 8th and 9th generation of drones inside where they don't need a permit and they'd like to go outside. They say the vehicles can now carry 5 pounds of payload, as much as 50 miles per hour, actually more than 50 miles per hour.
That's too fast. We're going to slow that down.
Well, that's their top speed, right? Doesn't mean they're always going that way.
I know. That's just scary to me.
And 86% of Amazon packages weigh less than 5 pounds.
Yeah, so, that makes sense.
HDMI cable, the bike helmet that Brian Brushwood bought me the other day to force me into riding my bike around and becoming healthier, all that stuff could be delivered by drone.
Yeah. Well, my question is, if they're saying we have to maintain line of sight, how does that work?
For the testing, they're doing that. And that's a controversial thing with the hobbyists because they're like, well, wait a minute. Sometimes I can see better with that camera that I'm remotely operating. Why did you suddenly decide that it has to be line of sight? I mean, they put that in this proposed rule interpretation on June 24th, I guess. I think what Amazon's doing here is like, fine, we won't even argue about that silly rule if you'll just let us go outside, Mom. We want to go outside and play with our drones.
Go out and play in the field, please. That's just like RC airplanes. I'm sure people were worried about those.
It is. Well, it's the same rules.
Yeah, same rules.
Yeah.
The drones are so expensive, generally speaking. I mean, not hobbyist drones, but things like the ones Amazon are building. I mean, they're expensive. The ones for the LAPD are $4 million a piece. They're not cheap. And your tax dollars are paying for that drone. And
wait, that's a big drone though, not a quadcopter.
They're pretty large. Yeah, they're pretty large.
I imagine the Amazon ones are significantly cheaper than that. But
I would imagine so. Well, Amazon likes to save money, so they're all about the profit margin. So I'm into it. I say yes.
All right, let them have their drones. I looked over this review, and I am not an FAA administrator, so I don't get a choice. But to me, it looked like they're bending over backwards to try to cooperate.
Yeah, maybe I'm missing something because I'm not an FAA engineer. And I completely admit that that's entirely possible. But for me, just as a consumer, I say, why not?
I completely admit that I am not an engineer too, and I agree with you. Let's take a look at the calendar. Today, July 11th, is the start of the Yes and Yes, Yes conference in Palm Springs, California. What is the Yes and Yes, Yes conference? It is a gathering of people who know a new programming language you've never heard of? No. A sales conference teaching people how to get the Glengarry leads? Nope, and nope, and nope. It is rather a celebration of Molly Bloom's euphoric stream of consciousness soliloquy at the end of James Joyce's novel Ulysses. No, I said no, it is not. According to the website, it is a gathering of, quote, Thinkers, futurists, nerds, weirdos, voracious consumers, and generators of ideas and information, creatives that like to engage in conversation about their creative pursuits and the concepts behind them, people comfortable with and excited about their own obsessive interest in their odd corner of the world, and people on the path to self-actualization, self-awareness, and the goodies that lie therein. End quote.
Why aren't we going? When are we leaving? Road trip.
Head to Palm Springs. It's hot over there, though.
It is really hot. Hopefully that conference center has air conditioning.
Yes, yes, and yes is my answer to would you like some water when I'm in Palm Springs?
Exactly.
Also on Sunday, July 13th, the South by Southwest V2V conference begins in Las Vegas. That's right, the people who bring you the annual conference of movies, music, tech, and tacos in Austin, Texas, have another conference now in Las Vegas focused on entrepreneurial innovation.
V2V.
Our pick of the day, I was going to pick Civilization 2 Revolutions, and then I realized I talked about it on Sword and Laser. It was my pick on Tomorrow Daily yesterday, so I can't do that. Grocery lists. Everybody needs them. Everybody needs food. And I've mentioned this before. BuyMeAPie.com is the app that I thought I might stop using when I started using some other apps for recipes and stuff, but no way, man. This thing is great. It's free on Android if you don't need to sync it with anything else, or it's $2.93, oddly priced, if you want to be able to sync it with other devices or share your list with other people. You only pay for it on iOS, $2.99, if you want to get it there. But it automatically suggests typical items and categorizes them by what aisle they're likely to be in, like the produce aisle and the canned food aisle and all of that sort of thing. And I've stuck with it now for more than a year. So that
seems handy.
It is. I am the weird guy at Ralph's, looking at my phone the whole time. Where do I need to go now? Okay. BuyMeAPie.com, and you can find all my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Send us your picks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. A couple of messages before we wrap it up. Russell Manthe writes in thinking about the ideas around the new direction laid out by Microsoft, talk about Satya Nadella's memo yesterday, I would hope that part of their thoughts around ubiquity of productivity and service would encourage them to lift the file access restrictions on the iOS Office apps. It seems that currently you can only access files from their cloud. If you could access things from Dropbox or Box or others, it would go a long way towards wider adoption. Let's hope for that. I kind of think that's where Satya Nadella was pointing. I don't know if he's actually going to go there, which was we should just make the services that make your life easy. Ashley, do you think that Microsoft would ever open up that much where they're just like, sure, you paying for Office 365, you can access files from whatever service you want. We don't care.
It feels like that should be the way forward because so many ecosystems are getting more and more closed. Like we're seeing iOS and Google kind of clamp down, iOS even more than it normally does, but, and really trying to centralize all of their cloud ecosystem. And Microsoft would really kind of differentiate themselves by allowing people, because Microsoft Office especially is such a ubiquitous program and suite of software, it seems like it would make sense to offer that as an option. Maybe it's an extra paid option, and maybe that's something that they would look into. But I hate saying we have to pay to get outside the wall.
To get your own files. Well,
right.
What this masks is the underlying problem here is that on your phone you can't just access files.
Yeah, you can't.
It's one thing to talk about. Yeah, but you don't have hard drive access the way you have on a normal computer.
Right.
And we've also just sort of gotten used to that.
Right. You have some apps on Android that allow you to kind of look at your files and everything.
Right. You can do a file manager on Android. That's true.
But it's not really the same. I think obviously there's good reason to do that because most people who have smartphones are like my mom, who would get into a lot of trouble if she had access to important areas of her operating
if she just didn't know it was there, she'd never stumble into it. And
man, let me tell you, it's just
really?
Here's the story. My grandma one time called me. My grandma's pretty tech savvy, but she called me once and she's like, Miha, I need you to come help me with my computer. And I went and helped her, and she had deleted her entire control panel file, just everything out of Windows. And I was just like, what happened? And she knows just enough to get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And there are some people who don't know anything and they never get in trouble. But then there's people who know just enough to think that they might be able to solve a problem and make it 100 times worse.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do like having those options, though, even if you bury
Oh, I do
them
too.
somewhere,
I do too. Us nerds like to have that option. 100%. I'm
True.
right on board with that.
Finally, Martin from rainy England writes, I have a workaround for seeing all your friend posts on Facebook in chronological order. Use the friends list features and create a list called Facebook that contains all your friends. There are multiple benefits to this. It seems that lists contain all updates from friends on the lists. Easy to exclude certain people if you want to mute them. Does not contain inline advertisements. You can exclude certain types of posts like photos, videos, games. By naming the list Facebook, the title of the tab in your browser remains Facebook. And there are a few downsides. He wants to point those out. You have to remember to select the list when you visit or bookmark the list directly. Updates from your likes do not appear on the list, and you have to remember to add new friends to the list. But he says, as most of your friends are already on there, new friends will appear under list suggestions, and then you should be easy enough to click add.
Or Facebook could just like implement chronological posting. Sort by
Sure.
chronological posts. Like
Sure, makes sense if you want.
me and my wacky logic. I mean, it's crazy, I know, but just a suggestion.
Well, they do.
Facebook.
They do have it a bit. You can turn on a chronological posting, but and I haven't done it because I should. But
you
I
don't
haven't
get
tried it.
everybody though.
But you still don't get everybody even when you do it,
No.
right?
It's terrible. It's really terrible.
Yeah. But thanks for that, Martin. That's a nice little elegant workaround, at least given the current situation. Finally, the entire internet wrote in to point out that the Mind Control Fighter movie that Todd Whitehead and I were blanking on yesterday with Clint Eastwood is called Firefox. I will never forget that now. Thank you, internet. And that is the end of the show. Let's see what Len Peralta has been drawing today. Len?
Well, you gave me a wealth of things to talk about or to draw today, but I chose the main story, which was Prime Air. And Ashley had said at one point, just to wrap it up, when she was wrapping it up, she said, well, I say, why not? Why not use drones to deliver stuff? And this is why you do not want to use drones to deliver things. A little nod to Don Martin on here. I also have a little... I also have a little drone, and in my mind, I like to think there's a little drone right there. It's cute, and I like to think that underneath this little box, this Amazon box, is perhaps Darren Kitchen. We miss him.
Aw. Well, I hope he didn't get hurt. He's got a big lump coming out of the box.
No, he got a unicorn horn costume delivered.
Oh, that's what
That's
that
what
is.
it
I
is.
see.
Yeah, costume.
But the little Amazon frowny face instead of the happy face.
I know, I love that. That's great.
That is perfect. Yeah, well done, Len.
Thank you. And it is available right now at the store. So
It's already up. You do this every week, but it never
Like an
ceases
art
to
ninja.
impress me that you already have it up for people. I know it's the internet, and that's the way it works, but
Amazing.
crazy.
that is amazing.
I work-
LenPeraltaStore.com.
Yes, thank you.
And Ashley Esqueda, thank you for joining us. You can find her at tomorrowdaily.com. Anything coming up next week to look forward to?
Whatever news that's fit to print, same as you. So we don't go Monday through Friday like you do because we're not, we like to work less than you. That's really
Because
really what
you're
it boils down
sane.
to because we're lazy. And pretty much we've had this discussion. Is Tom Merritt makes anybody look lazy? Like he makes Oprah look lazy. Like it's just
I do not
ridiculous.
make Oprah look lazy. No one
ridiculous.
makes Oprah look anything but
No,
amazing.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's lazy. So,
Look under your
yeah,
chair,
so we
Ashley.
do. I have a gold star. I want a Pontiac G6. So yeah, we do the show Monday through Thursday, and it goes live around 5 o'clock Pacific time every day, Monday through Thursday. And we like to have a lot of fun. It's a little less like news, a little more conversation. We like to have fun with it, and we also do a lot of user participation, which I really like.
You're looking at all the cool stuff, like all the fun. You've got a futuristic bent, which I like.
Yeah. We also did a feature. We did a story about a toilet exhibit in Japan. So we're also children. We're just children in our
course.
minds. So feel free to
That's
stop
awesome.
by and check that out.
Check it out, tomorrowdaily.com. Also, check out our Patreon if you want to see the folks who make the show possible. They're all listed there. Patreon.com/AceDetect or bit.ly/helpdtns if you don't want to try to figure out how to spell Ace Detect. 4,114 of you I thank personally for finding enough value to give us at least 5 cents a show, so a lot of times more, and we totally appreciate it. It makes the show possible. It makes it possible to have Jenny help us produce the show and pay for bandwidth and everything. So you guys rock. You're the best. Patreon.com/Ace Detect. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what stories the show covers. Maybe you're like, I don't even have 5 cents a day. Sorry, that's fine. Go to the subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, or give us an email, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call, leave a voicemail, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. And listen to the show live at mobile.alphageekradio.com, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. You can find our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back Monday with Peter Wells from The Reckoner in Australia. See you then.
About this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Yay!
Isn't Peter Wells RoboCop?
Yes.
Peter Weller. Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
You were so close.
Well, there's
Peter
both.
Wells is
Peter Wells of The
Aussie
Reckoner is
RoboCop.
also a RoboCop. No.
He's RoboCop of the internet.
There we go.
So my internet out here just decided to be like terrible. So sorry.
Not your fault.
So I'm going to tell you titles really quickly because it seems clear to me that I'm about to be kicked out again. The ones I really like are mostly from Todd Whitehead, of course. But the one I think we all ran down to was Amazon hones drones in test zones.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have to write that down while I can remember it. Amazon hones drones in. Like to.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazon to hone.
Amazon hopes to hone drones in test zones.
And what else we got?
Let's see. There was mine, which was just droned. It's a little, as Subgun said, it seems a little forced.
Just drones. Gonna be okay. Get your 5-pound package. Just drone. Sorry, I just brought that to a halt.
Yep. Got super awkward just now.
I think Jenny actually lost her connection again.
No, she's just legitimately staring at you
She's like,
until
no,
she breaks
don't
you.
ever do that again, Merritt.
Just like that look on her face right now is
It's like
exactly just sums up exactly her feelings toward
what
that.
you just did is unforgivable.
Yep. Never forgive you.
Oh man.
Yeah, a lot of people who watch your show are telling my show that we need to get more stuff on our set. And I'd love to, but it's hard because it's like everything is plastic. Like our walls are crazy plastic that we light up. It's really weird.
Yeah. I guess you'd have to put a shelf back there.
Yeah, I don't even know where we could put one because if we can't hang anything off of any of the walls because they're not really
You could put it
walls.
right behind the chairs, but then it's just not.
I don't know how much
the,
I would read. Yeah, would
Yeah,
block
exactly.
the TVs and stuff. I'm going to try to put like a portal gun between Rich and I. Like, get a couple things on the little table right behind us.
Yeah.
Just in
Yeah,
case I
there's-
need to shoot him. Send him through the floor.
Or, you know, actually it'd be a lot easier for you to get to your break room that way.
That's true.
You just leave
And the
an orange.
cafeteria. You just get
Yeah.
lost.
You can just leave one portal open there all the time.
I could. That would be really helpful.
Did you settle on a title? Is my job complete?
Well, I was just asking you for the other ones.
And then I went away.
Yeah.
It reminds what I really want to do is start quoting Fred Armisen as the Governor Patterson. New Jersey. It's not really New Jersey's fault.
It's totally New Jersey's fault.
Toby Pinder droned even.
Don't.
I like this. Jenny J23 is broken. Bring on Jenny J24.
It's time for a new rev.
Amazon drone to home, 30 minutes or less, or it's free, which is probably too long.
Drone to home's cute, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mine was drone in the Amazon.
Sounds like
Which
a
is-
mixtape.
Insane.
but
in the
that goes
membrane.
perilously close to like just a misspelling of Amazon.
Right.
So,
Insane in the membrane.
Amazon drone home
yeah.
instead of ET.
I'm gonna use the hone drones in test zones.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to hear. I wanted to give everything a fair hearing.
Yeah.
It's so Seussian. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Len, can you do Giesel art?
Ted Geisel. Yeah,
Geisel. Is that
Ted Geisel.
Hey, you're showing your business. Are you meaning to show this business?
Yeah, I don't care.
no.
Sorry, that's a really nice picture of me, Len. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I was working on it. That's why I'm so glad that I have a video of you up here. Oh, yeah, this was supposed to be a surprise, Ashley. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate it nonetheless.
There you go.
Let's see
Okay.
did I get a text message?
You have equally excellent eyebrows.
This is a fun one to do. Yes, for those looking on the video, if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, hopefully this piece will be at the Tom Wolfe Galleries.
Oh wow.
It's one piece. One
Awesome.
piece
You'll
during.
be wearing a one piece?
I'll have one piece on, and I will be. I'll have maracas. It'll be terrific.
This conversation is getting dirtier all the time. Don't be
Maracas
talking
aren't
about-
dirty.
Don't you be talking about your maracas on my TV show.
Hey, I didn't bring up the one piece. That was
Yeah.
Tom.
You
Yeah.
did. You said
It's-
If that one piece shows your maracas, you should probably get a bigger size.
Amazing.
Okay, so what? All right, so we have a title. You're editing.
Yep.
and I'm gonna go make
Friday.
spaghetti.
Oh, Len has to go make spaghetti.
Spaghetti Fridays.
It is spaghetti Fridays.
Do you make it with hot dogs? I think I asked you that before.
No, tonight I have to make it with chorizo sausage.
Ooh,
Well, that sounds awesome.
that
Yeah.
sounds delicious.
Yes.
Todd, will you hone
When
drones?
When should we come over?
Be here in about an hour, if you can make it, and then
Might be
there's
able to
plenty.
make
There's
that.
plenty. There's people missing here tonight, so plenty of
There's room at the table.
the room at the
Plenty
table
of-
is correct.
Plenty of pescetti.
Plenty of spaghetti.
Will
Spaghetti.
LeBron be there?
LeBron, yes, he's coming home
Good
tonight.
decision.
Coming home to spaghetti.
I think it's a little bit premature. They've already started selling forgiveness T-shirts here in Cleveland.
Wow. They don't
Wow.
That's a
waste
little bit.
minute.
That's a little bit.
Wow.
I'm not ready to forgive just yet. He hasn't done anything. So
Mm.
You know, they used to have better sports heroes. That's all I'm going to say.
Did
should
they?
be an interesting year for Cleveland sports.
Did they though?
I would say.
I don't know.
Just
I don't know.
you know what it is? It's that the internet didn't exist then. That's
Fair
why.
point. Fair
You didn't
Yeah.
know how awful Babe Ruth was in the 20s.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
don't
read.
know.
I read his. I read the Sports Illustrated article, the essay, and it was a good article. He
I
had
thought
to
it was
write it.
good.
Yeah, he had to write it to come back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's no way. And I knew he was coming back because if he did it twice, then he would be really hated. So
Yeah.
it would be bad news. I mean, I guess he could have stayed in Miami, but whatever. Doesn't really affect me much. So
Len
Yeah.
Braun.
Len Braun.
I'll have my Cavs jersey on next week. So.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
Bye,
All right,
Len.
see ya.
Good seeing everybody. Take care.
Good seeing you too.
Bye bye.
So Ashley, when I came back in, you were talking about your background of your set.
Yeah, people are complaining about it. This is my house.
Yeah, no, I love that set.
No,
When
yeah. It's just pretty.
is your
It's pretty
set-
barren.
Is it a physical set or is it a green screen?
No, it's a physical set. It's
Yeah.
we have like there. It's set up to where it's very small, and
Yeah.
we just us and CBS.com share that set, so we can't modify it very much because they do a lot of stuff in there as well.
Do you have an ability to build a portable, basically just like a 3-panel that you can? So it's like a panel here, and a panel here, and then you can do shelves, and you can sort of lock in a bunch of geek toys on the shelves, and it would literally take someone like 1, 2, 3, set it up, and then, or you just keep it as a 3-panel, and then
I
just
think-
cart it out every day.
Well, we have TVs behind us
Right.
during the show, but then it's possible that we could do things right directly behind us, but they would have to be weirdly scaled because it's so close. Like Tom's seen it. I mean, it's like really difficult to get things in and out of there. It's you can barely get a person out of the door.
It's
Do they have a grid that
basically,
you can?
Jenny,
do
it's
they
the
have a grid you
size.
can hang?
No, we don't. It's all lighting grid.
All
Like
lighting.
everything is, yeah. And there's a lot of union rules at CBS Television City.
I worked there for
So-
8 years. I know.
Yeah, so it's basically like there's a lot of things we can't even touch. So it's just like, okay, well, we just work with what we have, and then over time, like, you know, if the show gets big enough, I'm sure that, you know, we'd be able to have a bigger studio, and you know, there's always the possibility that CBS Interactive in Los Angeles might get so big that we could move somewhere, but it's just, you know, it just depends.
I'd love to come see it because we had a lot of similar. There's a lot of stuff you can do with a space like that that's not temporary and not buildy.
Yeah.
But
Well, it would have to be like pretty temporary because Big
Yeah.
Brother and Survivor and everything all come in. So,
Right.
and then they also do like CBS.com promo stuff out of that studio. They do a lot of things,
Yeah.
CBS.com interactive side. So we
Yeah.
kind of just share the space with them and work around each other's schedules to make things work.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible arrangement because then, you know, obviously like we have more resources and, you know, it's good because you can ask each other like, oh, what do you think about changing this? Or, you know, they have a lot of good advice because they've been in that space for a really long time.
Right.
But yeah, I think all of us would like to be in a bigger studio.
Yeah.
It's just that at Television City, everything is full. Like there's nothing that is sitting dormant right now.
Will they let you go up on the roof in nice weather? They have a great roof shot.
I have absolutely terrible experience filming out in the elements, and so I will not ever do that again.
Fair enough.
We almost went to the roof yesterday by accident.
Yes, Tom and I almost went to the roof looking for the studio. I was like, well, I don't really know where we are because the guy from CBS.com was like taking us a different way, like up some stairs, and I was just like, I don't know where we are. I've never been this way.
So it was it that elevator that mysteriously all of a sudden takes you to a bunch of dark alleys and then it's the stairs and then you're up on the roof? Because that's a hell of a shot.
Yes, like that mysterious stairway that ends
The
up
side
the roof.
of, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Hmm.
We're right around the corner from the green room for Ferguson and where they do the Talking Dead and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yep, I spent a lot of time there.
We'll just rent out Tom's office.
It's bigger.
I think it probably is actually. Like it might actually be bigger.
I'd have to move the
It's
couch
a very
out.
small studio. Yeah. Over time, I'd like to have a 3-seat studio where we can have guests a little more often and stuff. But for now, it's just, you know, we start small. Like it's I think we wanted to kind of see if there was even an audience for the show, and now like people really like it. So we've gotten a lot of really good feedback, and like Tom's fans all came and watched his stuff yesterday and the day before, and they've all been very nice. Like gotten some really nice emails from people, and
Good
people are
job,
just
guys.
really cool. Yeah, well done, Merit Army. Well played. Yeah, no, it's great. So, but I just really enjoy doing it. I mean, I think CNET's crazy. They're paying me money to like make a show that is so cool, but we lost Jenny. No, Jenny.
No,
Jenny.
She was like, I have another.
Come back.
All right. She's coming back in.
Okay.
So tenacious. And so there you go, and that solves everything.
I will listen back to this broadcast and hear your awesome answer when it's
Great.
over, because that's super annoying that I just dropped out. I'm sorry.
No,
All right, I'm out of the post now too, so I'm going to
Okay.
stop our broadcast.
Let me do
But
this
thanks again,
as the last
Ashley.
thing.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having me.
Ashley.
It was delightful. I'll come back anytime. You guys are the best.
Awesome. Likewise.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Bye, guys.
Bye.